It's downstairs. Thanks, Roxanne. I appreciate that. I'm new at this, yells, whatever. Anyway, knowledge. We all know what knowledge means. Is you find something, you see something, you know something. And you take that as knowledge. And knowledge is a good thing in most cases. Sometimes, though, a little knowledge is a bad thing. Some people, we are all met people like that. When they get a little bit of knowledge, they spread a little bit of bad knowledge. A few weeks ago in Bible study, I referred to some Christians as having the Christian ostrich syndrome. And I play that as when you do have the knowledge of what's right and what God preaches, that you got to spread it. You can't hide your head in the ground. The ostrich, he really doesn't do this, but they say he does. We all learned that he doesn't stick his head in the ground at the picnic. But you can't, when you hear something is going on and you know that it's wrong, you can't pretend that it's right. Because that's just not the way God meant it to be. Christians got to start standing up for what we believe and what we know to be true. And that's where I go to the ostrich syndrome. Is just get rid of that. When you see something going on that you know is absolutely wrong, you just can't put blinders on anymore. Time's coming too close. Even the law states, lack of knowledge is no excuse. Now, you get pulled over by a cop for speeding, and you tell, gee, I didn't know that, or I didn't know this. They don't care. And when we have knowledge, and we don't share it, and we don't use it, we don't help somebody, I think we're gonna end up being the same thing when we meet God and we meet Christ. It's, there's no excuse. You have to use it. I believe that in some, just like the last song, what we sang there, but God makes everything. I personally believe that everything on earth, some way or another, God had his hand in to make. And that goes for the TV. And I know there's a lot of people that say, I wish that daggone TV would blow up. But yet they're the same person that has 199,000 channels and spends $200 a month on a cable bill. TV and the radio are good if you use them for the purpose, I believe, that they're there for knowledge. They're not there to watch porn. It's not there to watch some of the stupid things on TV, and there's more stupid things than there is good, but there's a lot of good. We as Christians can find out a lot of things going on, and we can spread that. You can't believe a newspaper today. You have to, you read one newspaper, you say, well, that's right. And you read the same newspaper the next day, and it's totally different. You have to broaden your horizons. You have to look at everything. Myself, I watch a lot of Fox. I watch History Channel is one of my favorites. Dog Whisperer's another one. Nobody would guess that. But the CNN, I watch them all because I like different perspectives of things. And then you use your own brain, what God gave you, and you can come up with what primarily you believe and is the truth, the way things are. And that's knowledge. And that's where, there's two types of knowledge today. There's the Bible knowledge, which we have to know, because in the upcoming days, you're not going to be able to believe anything that's in the newspapers. You're not going to believe anything that's on TV, because you can see the pressure becoming more and more against the media to not tell the truth. If you can't see that today and what's going on, they pick and choose what they want to tell you. For example, there's a major conflicts going in the Middle East, but the papers choose to tell you about the president's beer recipe. Personally, I think that's a little bit of hypocrisy with all the things going on that we're being, told how to make the president's beer. And there's a few more important things out there than his recipe. They'll cloud issues that don't agree. They seem like they want to go in one direction. And that's not the way of God. That's not the way that we have been brought up and what we have been taught. The other type of knowledge is the worldly knowledge. And you need to know some of that. You have to know some of that to survive today. So what you have to do is you kind of blend these knowledges and put them all together. Your knowledge is important. However, we must use it in the best way possible to benefit God. And prepare ourselves for the future. Knowledge is referred to in the Bible 161 times. I didn't realize that until I got into this. Of course, the pastor was knowledgeable of it, because when we talked yesterday, I asked him, and he said, yeah, I knew that. So I guess I didn't shock him on any of that. But then I also said, do you know how many times that fear is in the Bible? Yeah, I know that. Well, I didn't, but it's 364. My first scripture I'm going to refer to is Proverbs 1, 27 through 33, and I'll read it to you, or attempt to. My glasses are a little bit old, but when your terror comes like a storm and instruction comes like a whirlwind, when distress and anguish comes upon you, then will you call on me, but I will not answer. They will seek me diligently, but they will not find me, because they hated knowledge. Do you understand what that means? I mean, we have to have the knowledge of God, but we can't ignore it. We're being, right now in these times, you can see what's going on out there. And we as Christians know what's in the Bible, what the Bible has to say about it. But we're not reacting. I mean, we sit back and we let people smack us upside the head everywhere else. And I'm not saying you got to go out and physically fight anybody, but I think we have to challenge. I think we have to challenge them with our knowledge and get them thinking. Because right now, I mean, they have the main platform. They're speaking as they want to speak. And everybody else seems to think it's okay. I mean, headline news. Anybody pick up the Tribune Review yesterday? Headline. 10 Commandments. Psst, covered with plywood. What are we afraid of? The 10 Commandments? My gosh, I mean, if they wanted to set up I don't know, whatever, up there that was totally against Christianity, nobody'd say anything. We might say, well, that's wrong. But you wouldn't see some law firm from Washington, D.C. or New York City sending letters to the school district saying, get that out of there, that's wrong. I mean, what do they have to fear? The 10 Commandments. I went over this one time before, but I think it's pretty important. Number one, I am your Lord, the Lord your God. What's wrong with that? I mean, even if you're a Muslim or whatever, you're saying you have a God. I mean, there's no fear in that. We have Lord our God. That's what our country was founded on. But they don't want to believe that. Second, you shall make to yourself no graven images. I mean, that's pretty clear. I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, how could somebody be against that? They evidently are. You shall not take the Lord thy name, God, in vain. What's wrong? I mean, do these people want their kids coming home with four-letter words constantly, uttered out of their mouth constantly? That shows no knowledge. That shows no teaching. That shows poor parental judgment. But, it's still, they're saying that's wrong. You got to get it down. Why? Honor thy father and mother. Well, that's a bad one. That's really got to get you go honoring your parents. My gosh, I mean, that'd be really something bad for the kids to do. Not murder. I don't see anything wrong with that. Not commit adultery. Another one. Don't steal. Don't lie about anybody. Don't bear false witness. And not covet your neighbor. I mean, when you sit down and think about it, and you go over it in your head, if you're honest, what is wrong with those things? Why are they making such a big fuss to get rid of 10 little items that on face value are pretty common sense? I mean, it's not telling you that you have to do something wrong, but maybe if they said, you have to kill 10 people before you're 11, maybe they say that's okay. Well, that's a little absurd, but I'm saying when you see them making such a big fuss over a simple thing as 10 little items to base your life on, that's your common sense items. They're not. I don't see anything really hard in there to do. But to make such a fuss that they're willing to spend millions and millions of dollars all over the United States, not just in little Connellsville, which is close to home to us, and to make the front page and have the school back down because one family took it on. 50 years that stone has been sitting in front of that middle school, 50 years, and nobody said a daggone thing about it, but now all of a sudden somebody is bothered by it, so we've got to take it down. If you can't see that it's bringing us closer to the enemy in his last days is really going to pour out everything. You've heard that many times from the pastor. And if he's that afraid of a little stone in Connellsville that's been there for 50 years, I got to tell you guys, it ain't too far away. You know, those are just words, as they say, but they're words to live by. And he doesn't want you living by them. He wants you to, just go out and be the type of person you want to be. I bring it to Proverbs 2 Proverbs 8 through 11. That's my say. I made a mistake. That's Proverbs 8 through 11. They are plain to him who understands and right to those who find knowledge. Receive my instructions, not silver, and knowledge rather than choice of gold. For wisdom is better than rubies. God at this time is placing a lot of emphasis on knowledge. He wants us to know as much as possible. In the Bible, he wants us to know everything on how to live, how to survive. So that's why he spends so much time talking about knowledge and how important it is to us. That knowledge is more important than gold, rubies, anything. You need the knowledge to survive, and you're going to need it more very shortly in the upcoming years, months, days. We don't know, but it's coming quick. The other point in Proverbs, I find a lot of stuff in Proverbs referring to knowledge, was Proverbs 24:5. A wise man is strong. Yes, a man of knowledge increases his strength. So you can see again that God's trying to push us towards knowledge. And that's when the time comes, if we're still around, that's the only thing you're going to have is your knowledge. Because they're going to try to do everything under the sun to change it. You have to know the difference between right and wrong. To me, that's why they're so against the Ten Commandments, because it's simple. It's right and wrong. And if you eliminate right and wrong, there is no wrong. And you can do whatever you want to do, and that's what the enemy's trying to make you do, is do whatever you want to do. It's right. I mean, it never fails to amaze me. It's just like I said, the article in the paper. That tells me that, we're coming real close to the end times. I have to write everything down because I'll miss stuff. This week, knowledge becomes important. We have to have the knowledge. How many people watched the Democratic Convention? Anybody? I watched a little bit of it. I'm still a Democrat. Have been most of my life, And sometimes I've not been afraid to state that I'm a Democrat. I was a Democrat committeeman for a long time. But I always say that I was a Democrat back when Democrats meant something. Right now, I don't think the Democratic Party stands for me. And just for anybody that cares, Monday morning, I'm going to the courthouse. I've always told people in the past when they say, why are you still a Democrat? Well, it really didn't matter to me. Well, it does now. It really does. And I can no longer attach my name to a party that puts in their platform the support of gay marriage. Can't